Hello and welcome to the UCSD Makerspace laser cutting tutorial. Laser cutters are one of our favorite digital fabrication machines thanks to their ease of use, speed, and versatility. They take a large range of file types and can make precise cuts and engravings in a wide range of materials. And as a result, they are a powerful tool from everything from making complex mechanical assemblies to intricate artwork. Our C02 laser cutters are one of the most common types, where the head is on an XY CNC gantry that moves around to cut or engrave your part. The bed of the laser cutter moves up and down to put the top surface of the material at the focus point of the laser. This is a simple and robust system that allows the laser cutter to cut and engrave material quickly and efficiently. Our machines can work in two modes, engraving mode and vector mode. In engraving mode, the laser moves methodically back and forth one line at a time, turning the laser on and off as needed to etch the desired shape in the same way an inkjet printer might deposit ink. And we typically use this mode to create shallow engravings on the surface of the part. In vector mode, the laser precisely follows a path you have drawn, most commonly to cut a shape out from a larger piece of material. In both cases, we can vary the power and speed of the laser to indirectly adjust the depth of cut. The most common materials to cut and engrave on the laser cutters are wood and acrylic, also known as plexiglass. Many types of paper, rubber, and fabrics can be cut, along with engineering plastics like Kapton and Delarin. There are also some materials that can be engraved but not cut, such as glass and stone. A full list can be found on Epilog's website, or you can ask a staff member if you have questions on material choices. Unfortunately, there are several materials that are forbidden and should never be used in any of our laser cutters, mainly plastics like vinyl, polycarbonate, also known as Lexan, and polystyrene. We stock a wide variety of known safe materials that you're encouraged to take advantage of. If you bring in any outside material, please double check the material specs and have one of our staff members sign off on it before cutting to make sure everyone stays safe. Many of the dangerous materials can be easily mistaken for safe ones. Last but not least, remember that no byproducts of laser cutting are good for you. Please allow the fume extractor a few seconds to finish removing the fumes before you open the door. And consider wiping off the residue of your plastic parts. We have 3 Epilog Fusion Pro laser cutters available for people to use that can cut up to 2 by 3 feet, and 1 Epilog Fusion laser cutter can cut up to 3 by 4 feet sheets. Our 3 smaller machines also have fiber lasers, which are more specialized in their uses. The fiber laser is a different frequency than the C02 laser, which allows it to engrave metal and cut very, very thin sheet metal, such as copper tape and aluminum foil. The lasers need to be configured for fiber cutting, so ask a staff member to help you if you would like to know more or use them. If you need to cut or engrave thicker metal sheets, please watch our Fab Life tutorial, as that machine is designed for cutting thick materials. So, to start your first laser cutting project, you're going to need a vector file, such as a DXF, SVG, or PDF. And that can be generated from a large range of CAD or 2D vector software. One app that's particularly helpful in creating and manipulating vector designs is Inkscape. We have a general video tutorial linked above if you're unfamiliar with it. We also have Illustrator, AutoCAD, and several other similar applications installed on our laser cutting computers. However, sticking with the same program used to design the file in is usually best. Once you have your design file, you're going to need to prepare it to be correctly interpreted by the laser cutter and its software. The laser cutter software differentiates operations by color, so most jobs will have 2 colors, one for cuts and one for engraving. For engraving operations, we need to ensure that the areas that we want to engrave are colored in. That usually means that we fill in our shapes to engrave, although you can also use relatively thick lines. For vector or cutting mode, we just want the outline enabled, no fill. This can be adjusted by going to the fill strokes tab in Inkscape, and most other vector software have something similar. Once the file is ready, you can move on to setting up the machine. Hello, Future Mark here. So we've added control access systems to all of our laser cutters. So this means that for your very first laser cut, you're going to have to ask a staff member to come check you out. They'll make sure you know what you're doing, watch you do your first cut, and then they'll add you into the system so that you can check yourself in on future visits. Once you've been checked out by a staff member, in future visits, you'll be able to come and use your own student or staff ID to log yourself into the machine. Simply take your ID and tap into the top of the box, and it will check you in, allowing you to use the laser cutter. These devices also act as a dead man switch. That means every 3 to 5 minutes, the device will start flashing red and beeping, which means you're going to have to click the I am here button. This ensures that you are here by the machine at all times while it is in use. Now, when you are done, you're simply going to hit the stop button, that'll shut down the station, and you'll be able to go on your way. Now, back to the rest of the tutorial. Today, we're going to cut our part out of 3mm acrylic that we've gotten out of our scrap bin. So the first step is that we're going to open the door of the machine and carefully place the sheet down. You want to take care to not hit the sheet onto the cutting head or gouge the honeycomb bed. You can place your material anywhere you want in the bed, but keeping it square to the machine's axis is always a good idea. Once you're ready, close the door and move to the control panel. tap on a joystick to enter manual move mode on the machine. This will allow you to move the laser cutter head with the joystick. And then you want to move it so that the laser cutter head is roughly in the center of where you want to cut. Once you're ready, tap the autofocus button, which will bring up the bed of the machine so that the material boops the laser nozzle to measure where the top of your material is. Please note that the larger printer is slightly different as it has the autofocus sensor that has a separate button on the back left of the cutting head. Now, this autofocus feature tells the machine how far away the material is from the laser's lens, which then will help focus the beam for the best cut. Once that's done, we can move over to our laser cutter computer and then begin to send the file to the laser cutter. Once we're on our laser cutter computer, I've used a USB flash drive to load my file into the computer, and I've opened up the Inkscape. You can also do this in Illustrator or your vector software of choice. We have a couple of different ones installed on the computer. But first, we're going to want to double check that everything is set up correctly to be read by our Epilog software. We want to make sure that all my engravings are filled and all the lines are ready to go and set to thin. We also want to make sure that the dimensions of our part are correct. So once my file is ready to go, we're going to go ahead and hit print and select the Epilog printer. This will open the Epilog dashboard, which shows our cutting area on the left and our color-coded operations on the right. There is a camera on the door of the machine that's connected to the dashboard and is synced to the coordinates of the laser. This makes it very easy to click and drag your part to wherever you want to cut on your sheet. The camera is not perfect, it is a wide-angle lens. So you want to make sure you leave a bit of margin around the edge of your part to make sure you don't cut off to the sides. It's also important to make sure that you have focused the machine for the material before positioning the job, as being out of focus can skew where the camera thinks the material is. But we've already done that, so we're good to go there. Lastly, be considerate and place your part smartly to conserve material, aka not in the center of a brand new sheet. Next, we import presets into each operation by clicking a photo with the arrow. Now, this is my vector cutting operation, so I'm going to select acrylic 1/8 inch, which is roughly the same as 3 millimeters. And then I set my next operation to acrylic engraving, and I'm going to move it so that it is at the very top of the operations list so it cuts first. It is a good idea to work from the inside out when laser cutting, so any holes or engraving should be done first before you cut the outside of your part. If there is no preset listed for your material, talk to a staff member and we can help you configure your settings. Double check that air assist is on for all these operations. This blows the smoke down and away from the workpiece and the nozzle, keeping the optics clean. Each operation will also show you how long the laser will run for, which is important as you are required to stay by the machine as it cuts, so budget your time accordingly. Once you're ready, click print. Now, moving back to the machine, tap the 3 bars to get to the print clue and select your part. If you'd like to confirm your exact positioning, you can tap the outline button and the machine will start traveling a square pattern around the job. If everything looks good, click the start button. Now, when the laser cutter is running, never leave it unattended. Always watch your part as it is cutting. There is a small but real chance that any cut could start a fire, and it is essential that you keep it out in case it does. We tolerate multitasking, but the cutting must be in your line of sight at all times. For many materials, you'll see smoke. In some cases, you may even see the smoke erupt into a small flame that follows the laser cutter. These are normal responses to the laser speed. The important thing to notice is that if the flame grows or spreads to the material itself. If you have any doubts or concerns, you can always hit the pause button. The fire should immediately stop when the laser does. And you can ask one of our staff members to double check your work for you. In the rare case of the fire spreading or going on top of the material, there are spray bottles located on the desks. Hit the pause button, open the door, this will stop the laser, but the head may keep moving for a second. Spray the fire and come find a staff member to see if we can help you diagnose what went wrong. For serious, much larger fires, we have C02 fire extinguishers located on the table behind you, and you can tell it's a C02 fire extinguisher by the large black nozzle. Once the laser is finished cutting, wait around 15 seconds until the fan is turned off. Grab your part and remove the rest of the material from your machine. Dispose of any scraps and put the rest of the sheet back in the organizer. Please cut down or dispose of sheets that are unlikely to be useful to others. We are here to help you with the equipment, not clean up after you. Similarly, please be a good neighbor to the other students around you. For instance, try to do as much of the drawing and editing on your own computer or one of our learner laptops instead of the laser cutter computers. Also, if you have a lot of work to do, please try to split your project into several jobs and take turns with others who may be waiting for the laser cutter. We have assembly tables opposite of the laser cutters that have wood, acrylic, and super glue, as well as files to clean up any edges. Pro tip, do not use any solvents, acetone, or isopropyl alcohol to clean acrylic, as that could cause damage or dissolve the material. Only use soap and water.
Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm here with the recap. So first, you need a vector file that has been properly prepared for laser cutting. Next, you set up your laser cutter by grabbing your material, autofocusing, importing your settings, and then moving your part where you want to cut. Last but not least, print. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something. Feel free to ask the staff about any questions or help on the first cut when you come in. Go forth and laser cut.